What's going on, people? So look, we had some technical difficulties today. So the first session of our first section of our Career Channel Life was not recorded. I can't believe it would do us like that. Why would it do us like that? So I'm just going to do some highlights that takes you into the second part of the video. But I just wanted to kind of explain this craziness, because I know y'all are typically used to this, hearing this, but you ain't gonna get that today, right? You're just gonna get a little bit of it. All right, so let's jump into like this, right quick, right fast. All right. First round was on social media. The way to stay connected to us is through our social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook. So we post 2 to 3 videos on our YouTube channel. Gives a great opportunity of how to, what events we have going on or that we've done. We give great insights as far as what's going on in the real estate market, different programs, different trainings. So if you subscribe to the channel, you'll be notified whenever we drop in new content. The other thing is our Facebook business page. That's kind of like our billboard of all our upcoming events. So you'll be able to see when we got our career day coming up, our trainings coming up. We do our mastermind through tough times every Tuesday at 2:30 on our Facebook page. So if you like the page, you'll be notified when we're doing something pretty cool. And then I'm on the rest of all the other social media platforms. Again, what I want to tell you as you continue to look at the video, if there are some things that really stands out to you, where that's the kind of nurturing that you need, the type of development, like we're serious about how we develop realtors. If that's the kind of development that you need to take you to the next level, go to the link, schedule an online or in-person company introduction, and you can learn more about what it is that we offer at Brooks & Davis. All right, and then the last thing that I showcased was our agents are able to get an hour of continuing education credit. So this is really for realtors. If you're a realtor, you've gone past your SAE, so that's your first 2 years, then that means every 2 years now you're going to need, I think, at least 6 hours of collective continuing education elective credit. And what we offer at Brooks & Davis is the ability for our agents to get rid of that elective credit by just logging into our Career Channel Lives every week. So over 40 opportunities to get that free collective credit. All right, so we looked at that. Our core ideology that we talked about this week had to deal with exceeding the expectations of our clients, customers, and colleagues, which is one of our 5 core values. So we know our core ideology is made up of 3 parts. It's our core mission, our core goal, our core purpose, and our 5 core values. And I just spoke a little bit about, as we approach what we do, it's not about satisfying expectations, it's about exceeding them, right? We want people to tell us that how impressed they are by what we do. Because what that means is that they've come to the table expecting a lower quality of result, which is what we're not in the business of giving. So that's why every time we approach it, and not just real estate, you should just approach it in life. That everything that you go and do, that you do it in such a way that your plan is for the people that you're engaging, whether that's a client, whether that's a customer, whether that's a colleague that you're working with, that their level of expectation is exceeded in such a way to where they're blown away, right? So that was the core value that we dealt with today. We did look at our production. So we did have some new production came in, a little less than $1 million, which is kind of our trend. And we definitely congratulated Kim Stubblefield for her new production on the board, Chica Moma, as well as Lisa Vaughn, which takes us a little over $7.5 million in total production. Congratulated them, as well as congratulated our top 3, Kendra Wheaton, LaKendra Kaufman, and Roy Moses, for being the top 3 producing agents for the week, right? So now, that's pretty much what we talked about. We're now the next part of is going to take you into where we kind of got cut off, where we were looking at showcasing a listing at 8226. I think it's Rustic Cape Canyon. So take a look at that listing and enjoy the rest of the training. And then that should take you all the way through the rest of the training for today. But I had to do this portion of it, because for whatever reason, it didn't record the first part of our training, Create Your New Life. That being said, Michael G. Davis, Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm. I'm your broker, CEO, and host of the Create Your New Life company training and coaching. I'm sorry, company business meeting and coaching. All right, you guys enjoy the rest of it. Talk to you later. And that's all that matters, that I made it back. All right, so I was trying to show some pictures. It looks like the pictures went out. So we're talking about the property at 8226 Rustic Cape Drive. This is what we're looking at. These pictures. So let's see. So that's the kitchen. Very nice backsplash all the way through. Great for entertaining. Kitchen looks well suited for entertaining. Let's look at some living area shots. All right, so you check out the living area. Very large sofa set, so you have plenty of space to entertain. Let's see if we got some shots of the backyard. Boom, there we go. So we got a backyard patio covered. So space for, again, great entertaining. Want to hang out with some friends, have some family over. Got a place to put them. And nice sized backyard for you to take advantage of. Well manicured. So very well maintained home. So let's look at, let's see, how can I get back to where I was looking? I go here, cancel. Okay. All right, boom. So yeah, a little over $200,000. So for, 2,000 square foot home, as well maintained, it's only 6 years old, under 225,000. Man, that's a steal. So let's go. I know y'all have some clients that's in that price point that want to be in the Cypress area. Let's go ahead and get this property sold and get this one off the books. Get it under contract, get it on the board. Let's go. So if y'all have any clients or anyone that may be interested.
Can I get the MLS number again?
The MLS number, absolutely. Michelle. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, and you?
I'm doing great. So the MLS number is 414-03-831. So it sounds like Michelle may have a client who can do something with this house.
I'm looking myself, so I'm looking myself, and I just, yeah.
She says she her own client.
That's right.
We don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I guess we'll see, huh?
It's going to be a good thing.
Absolutely.
Because I got the best broker in the world.
Absolutely, Michelle. You better tell them. This technology not letting me be great today. And I'm going to be great regardless, technology. All right. So that's that property. So again, if you know somebody that's looking to be in that area, be in the Cypress area, let's go ahead and get this one sold for us. All right, gang. I would like to, one of the things that we do every week is we showcase our proprietary programming. We take programs that we offer at Brooks & Davis, especially as a way for you all to be constantly reminded of the things that you have access to as an agent member and affiliate member of Brooks & Davis. So the one that we want to showcase today is our agent hotline, right? And, in addition, most of you all know that, if y'all really need to get something, y'all can call me on my cell phone or y'all shoot me a text and I can pretty much take care of it for you. Between myself, between Jess, we can get you squared away. But, you know, obviously, as we grow, especially to the level that we're trying to achieve, that's not going to be too sustainable because it's only one me. So because of that, we for you know, a while ago we put in, or we implemented this agent success hotline to really hone in on or reinforcing that idea of our agents never being on their own. And that's kind of what this is about. So, you know, in the event between the hours of 10 a.m. and 10 p.m., if an agent calls that number and they're dealing with something and they have a question, they're going to be able to speak with an elite real estate broker or salesperson to help navigate them and guide them through whatever it is that they need. So that's as we expand out of being able to just get Mike on the phone whenever you need him, right? This hotline, again, we want to nurture and reinforce that concept of having that level of access to a knowledge base so people aren't having to be out here guessing. So that's what our hotline is all about. You know, and as we grow, it's going to grow. So we're never going to lose the security that our agents can find in feeling like they're never going to be by themselves, that they're always going to have access to somebody that can help them deal with some technical, some mechanical aspect of a deal or a transaction or their business without having to guess and figure it out on their own. So that's what our hotline is all about. So again, if you all need it, take advantage of the number, save it in your phone, utilize it when need be, and we'll help, you know, take care of you. So that's the program that we want to highlight, that we want to showcase for today. All right, last but not least, we are doing another concealed handgun class this week. It is going to be, forget the date, but it is the location, the time and the location is the same. You know, if you are interested in getting your concealed handgun license, then let me know or send an email to actionjacksonguntraining@gmail.com to reserve your spot so we can get you in the class. They do sell out pretty quick. So if it is something that you're interested in doing, get with me now before it gets sold out. All right. But we are doing a class this week through Action Jackson Gun Training. All right. So now here we go. Another installment of the Psychological Iceberg for Success. The series that we're in right now is the Psychology of Real Estate. And what we want to do, let me make sure it's something real quick. Here we go. I just wanted to make sure that it was recording the right screen. But yes, so, you know, as we started this series, the whole point or the whole gist of it was there are emotional, there are mental aspects of this business that there are gaps as it relates to our industry, as it, you know, being trained on, being taught on. So this series has been all about dealing with those, you know, emotional and mental aspects of real estate. You know, really getting them and getting a handle around them, because those aspects are really responsible for a lot of what gets in the way of you being successful, right? It can bring you down, it can slow you down, it can impede you. So, you know, we've taken our time as we've gone through this series, and we've used our iceberg as a model to explain or articulate the aspects that we mean when we're talking about these mental and emotional pieces that are in the way. And, you know, again, we've been using the Titanic as our example because, you know, when the Titanic got sunk, it wasn't the part of the iceberg that you could see that was on top of the water. You know, when they saw that iceberg, that's why they felt confident that they could miss it based off of the mass that they saw on top of the water. But the reality is that there's a very large piece. Matter of fact, the majority of the piece of an iceberg is under the water. It's the part that you can't see. And for most realtors, those are the things, those internal things, those mental and those emotional things that are sinking them and sinking their real estate business. So that's what we've been talking about, and that's what we've been looking at. So what we're going to talk about today has to do with, once you've, made the decision that you're going to start, and you spent time really understanding who you are as a person, as a professional, your personality traits, your belief system, how you've been conditioned and socialized, taking all that into consideration, because all of that goes into how you approach real estate. Once you've done that, once you've become crystal clear on what it is that you actually want out of life, what it is you want out of real estate, what is it, what are those areas that you need to be focused on to help you achieve what you want. Once you've gotten real crystal clear on that, you understand, why you want it, how it's going to impact your life, why it's imperative that you achieve what that thing that you want. You've done that work, and you understand how goals work, and goal setting, and the deadlines, and how to apply the deadlines, and how to use the deadlines as a tool, and not a sign of incompetence or a sign of failure, or not meeting the mark. Like that. No, the goal deadline is there as an opportunity for you to assess the work that you've done, right? So now, once you've gotten lined up in all of those other areas, the last piece is now putting together a plan of action, and a plan of action that you can execute on and get done, right? And I think that right there is one of those pieces that a lot of realtors are missing, and that's having that true plan of action that they can utilize, that they can execute on to help get them to the next level, all right? So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how do you put the plan in place. Like, once you set the goal, you've identified what it is that you want to achieve, how do you achieve it, right? So we'll use some examples. Maybe you have a goal of you want to do a certain amount of production, right? So say you want to get to the point to where you make $100,000 in real estate, right? So, based on splits and things like that, for you to pocket $100,000, you're probably going to have to end up doing between $3 and $4 million worth of production. Is probably what you're going to end up having to achieve. And that's not, that's not easy, right? So don't think that that's easy. It's not easy to do that level of production. There's a lot of people that don't do that level of production. So somewhere between 3 and 4 million. So, there's a tool that I teach, that I coach on, and it's called Rapid Planning Method, right? And what I want to do in Rapid Planning Method, this isn't something that I came up with, so I can't take no credit for what some of the things I say. It was actually a concept that I was introduced to from Tony Robbins. As you all know, I do a lot of coaching and teaching based off of his platforms and the things that he speaks about, his concepts. So, and this one right here is one of those measures. Okay, let's see if this is what we do right. All right, let's see. All right, brilliant. Okay, so this is RPM. So RPM, what it speaks about here, RPM is based on 3 questions, 3 sets of questions. And again, RPM, it's a result-oriented, purpose-driven, massive action plan, something that you can execute on to help you get to what you're trying to achieve. So it's a process. It's a process of thinking. It's a process of working. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, this is exactly what I want us to go through. All right. So the first part of the RPM process is you got to identify what it is that you want, right? What is the result that you're committed to achieve as you go through it? And you want to be as specific as possible. So the example that we came up with was, all right, you want to make $100,000 in real estate, right? And for you to do that, you got to do between $3 and $4 million worth of production, right? So let's just pick a number. Let's just say 3.5 million. So you want to do $3.5 million worth of production, right? So what result am I committed to achieve? And you want to be specific because clarity is power, which we learned from going through our psychology of our psychological iceberg for success. Being crystal clear on what it is that you want. And as you formulate your result, you'll probably refine it a few times because the target that you're going after is going to get clearer and clearer in focus. So that's your R, the result. That's the goal. That's kind of what we went through last week. That's the what do you want, right? Getting clear on that. So in our example, it's $3.5 million worth of production. All right. Now the second set of questions to ask yourself is, what is the purpose? You know, why do you want? So why do you want to achieve $3.5 million worth of production? Now that's the P. So now the RPM, this process of thinking, it's a block. We're going to start seeing these RPM blocks as we continue to go through this. So, you know, what is the purpose? You know, what will it give you? Why do you want to do it? You know, how will it make you feel to achieve when you achieve $3.5 million worth of production in your real estate career? How will that impact your mindset, right? That's your thinking. How will it impact your emotions? That's how you will feel. So how will that happen, right? And right here, your purpose is all about emotion. And the reason that it's important that you tap into that, again, we talked about it previously as it related to your ultimate purpose for life, right? So now what we're doing is that we're honing it in on your purpose for any goal that you set or any result that you set, tapping into that emotional energy that can drive you towards accomplishing it, right? And the way that you do that is answering the question of why do you want it, right? And what it's going to do is going to create the drive and meaning for you to follow through on what it is that you want to achieve, all right? So the inspiration that you needed, the motivation that you need, it all comes from within, all right? It's all about meaning. It's all about purpose. So that $3.5 million worth of production, you got to place some meaning behind it. And I've seen it all the time. A lot of people, they're not hitting their goals, they're not hitting their numbers because it doesn't mean enough to them, right? They don't want it enough. And they haven't really been taken through the process of adding more meaning behind it to help them get through to the follow through. All right. So that's the P. All right. And then the final phase is the M. That's the massive action plan. So once you have your clear outcome, which is your result, and you have a compelling purpose, you have a meaning, you have a why that you're going through, you want to ask yourself the third set of questions, which is what specific actions do you need to take to achieve the result, right? So so now begins the work, right? Now you got to ask yourself, what are the to-dos? Like, what are the things that I'm going to have to do to really achieve the goal, the result, right? So what we're calling a massive action plan is a set of actions, And it's a set of actions that's all about giving you a menu of choices and not a list of have-tos. So you don't always need to complete all your actions to achieve the result. So don't look at it as like it's a step-by-step platform. What it is it's a menu, right? It's options. It's a list of actions that can be taken to get you towards what you're trying to achieve, right? It may take 2 of them, 3 of them, 5 of them, who knows how many it would take. But what you're giving yourself is you're giving yourself a better shot by thinking through all the different actions, right? It says, when you know your outcome and purpose, you may find that it actually takes a lot fewer actions to get the results you're really after, and that only a few are must. Thinking this way, you will often come up with a better, smarter set of actions than if you had just made a random to-do list. So this massive action plan that we're talking about is not a to-do list. It's just not a list of to-dos. Now, one of the things that he encourages, and I encourage it as well, do not skip the purpose step. Because a lot of times we want to go from hey, I want 3.5 million straight to well, here's my list of things that I want to do. Don't skip that, right? Fast movers and achievers sometimes want to blow past the P because once they have the result in mind, they want to skip it. Don't do that. Again, you need to have that emotion and that drive to push you towards follow through. All right, you got to be clear on why it's important that you achieve it. And matter of fact, you got to be clear on why it's important that you go after it. I ain't even gonna say achieve it. You got to know why it matters for you to try to accomplish it. This thing that you're trying to accomplish. You got to know why you deserve it. That's when it gets exciting. That's when it gets fulfilling. That's where the joy comes from. And all of that positive energy is the thing that's going to put you forward. All right. RPM is not just about making you a more efficient and effective manager of your time. It's about training you to live a results-focused life. Right? So this is not just about a technique. It's about a change in thinking. Right? Anytime you approach something, you approach it with what's the result in mind that I'm going after. And it gets rid of those just doing stuff to do stuff. Because a lot of times that's what our day gets filled up with. Just things that's just on our list, and we're not really clear why and where they fit. We don't even really understand the result that we are going after, and we're just kind of going through the motions. So this here is about transforming not just your mindset, but putting yourself in a position where you transform the quality of work that you produce. And as you begin to transform the quality of work that you produce, and everything in your life is going to begin to get transformed. Okay. So now now as you begin to do the first step of the massive action plan, which is to capture all these actions that you can do, there's a concept called chunking that can again reinforce you getting to what you're trying to achieve faster. Right? And not even just faster, but with less stress, less mental stress as you're going for it. It forces you to become more efficient in how you approach it. So the way we define chunking is it's a grouping together information into ideally sized pieces so they can be used effectively to produce the results you want. So what does all that mean? What it means is that you're going to start seeing patterns. Once you begin to capture all of these actions that you're going to need to take. So in our example, it's to achieve $3.5 million worth of production. Well, what are the actions that we're going to need to take? Okay. And as you start lining these actions out, you're going to start seeing patterns. You're going to start seeing categories to where you can take certain activities and you can chunk them and you can group them in a single place. Okay. So one of the things that Tony teaches, especially as it relates to chunking, is that we have the ability in our minds to take any experience in life and pull it apart into millions of pieces or tie it all together into one piece. And that ability is the difference between being completely overwhelmed mentally and stressed out versus clear on exactly what it is that you need to do to get something done, right? The more steps we feel something needs to take for us to get a result, the more discouraged we come as far as going after it, right? Again, I'll use myself as an example. I have a running to-do list that I add to and take away from. I look at it on a weekly basis. My running to-do list has over 150 individual things on it at any given time. 150, right? So what I do on a weekly basis is that I engage that list of 150 things, and then I identify through, again, a process of planning and thinking the things that I'm going to go execute for that 7-day period. Now, before I incorporated this process of planning into my life, although I had not had a running list of those 150 items, they were still there. But where were they? They weren't on paper, they were in my head. So I still remember to this day how overwhelmed I would always feel. I always felt like I was missing something. It was not enough time in the day. I was never moving in the direction that I wanted to move. I was always feeling that way. And that's because in my head, the things that I wanted to go after, it was requiring 150 things that I consciously didn't know that's how many it was, but they were all there in there. So what chunking helps you do is take that list of everything and put it in such a way to where you can effectively go after it and grouping it up, right? Tony says most people are only able to focus on a limited number of things at one time. When most people are learning, they tend to remember things that are grouped into threes. We tend to remember 1, 2, 3, and then many, right? So once we get past the third on anything, that's when that overwhelming thing starts coming in, right? So once we get past 3 steps, that 4th step is like, man, there's a whole lot that we got to do to achieve it. And that's why, again, to-do lists can be so overwhelming, because once you get past 3 things on that thing, then now you're just tired. You're mentally tired, because that's how we think. That's how we see. So chunking is the process of turning more into less, kind of what I talked about. All right. So right here, he gives an example of chunking. Says, look at the following example of a person's to-do list for their day. So these were all their to-dos for the day. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 things. So the question, so now you get it all on paper, you got your to-do list, and then you ask the question. So here's the power of chunking. You ask the question, do any of these things relate to a similar result, right? And fast forward, here's the answer, right? So as you can see here, 4 of the items in this example relate to a single result, and that's running, right? So go running, buy running shoes, lift weights, schedule massage. So all of that's wellness, right? All of that's working out. So in this example, by taking that to-do list and taking those 4 areas and chunking them into a common result, which was make progress in my physical body, right? And that's another, we talked about categories in later episodes as well. This is where the categories come in, and where they become very effective is because it allows you to take that to-do list and then do exactly what was done here. Identify those key areas of your life that as long as they enhance and as long as you grow in those areas, they move you towards getting your ultimate vision. So that's the power of categories. Ultimately, that's what categories are. It's chunking things, right? So you can see in this example, they were able to chunk those 4 things and come up with a common result. So now, this right here is an example of what Tony calls an RPM block, right? So right here it says you can create this 3-part RPM block that deals with result, purpose, and massive action plan to allow you to have effective, actionable items positioned in such a way that where you're going to make progress in what it is that you're trying to achieve. And you can do this with big goals. You can do it with projects. You can do it with, minor daily activities, planning, event planning. Like, you can use this process of execution pretty much for anything. If there's a result that you're trying to achieve, you can use it for anything to help you come up with a way to approach it and go after it, right? So again, I say it's a system of thinking. Now, clearly we don't have enough time for me to go through it all the time. And you're not going to get it the first time. This stuff still may sound like Greek to you. It takes a while of going through it. But as many of you know, this is an element of our coaching, right? That we coach our agents through these type of strategies and techniques to help them become better at execution, right? So this is just a taste of what is required to kind of get to the next level. Because even as we use this RPM block as an example, one of the things, so right now we got 4 things, right? So as we go back to our example of, all right, we want to do $3.5 million worth of production. We got our why, and now we've come up with our list of things that we need to do, right? And then again, some of those areas can be chunked. They can be categorized. But once we do that, and once we come up with our list of to-dos, right, our menu, then what we're going to do is we need to prioritize. We need to ask another question. We need to ask a question of, which of these items puts me in the strongest, or gives me the greatest chance, we'll say that. Which of these items on this list gives me the greatest chance of making major progress in what I'm trying to achieve, right? So if our goal is $3.5 million worth of production, what are some of the things that we put on our list? All right. Well, making phone calls to ask for business, so lead generation, going to networking events, creating a social media, right? All of that probably kind of leads to, lead generation. So different areas of drawing in business and lead generating. But even then, that's not going to be enough, right? Because you can have the business coming in, but if your systems aren't in place for you to manage phone calls, or your follow-up protocol is not in place, or so you may have to get follow-up protocol. You may have to create get a CRM. How you going to field phone calls? What is your follow-up process going to look like? So all of this stuff is going to be on your list. Is going to be required for you to achieve that goal, 3.5 million. It's more than just drawing in the business. You got to work the business, right? You got to convert. You got to you got to bring in the leads, but you got to convert those leads to clients. And then you also got that other phase where you got to take those clients and they got to get closed, because the production don't count until you actually close on the transaction. So you got to be doing the transaction in such a way to where it's effective and efficient, to where you can do the amount of transactions that are needed for you to be able to hit that goal. So all of that stuff you have to take into consideration, right? So you'll have all this on your list, and then you got to ask yourself, which of these puts me in the greatest position to have the greatest amount of impact on getting to me achieving that goal? And you begin to prioritize your list, and you sit through it and you begin to prioritize. So you got to do that, right? You also, one of the things that Tony talks about in this process is leverage. You know, another question you're going to ask yourself is, because you don't make the assumption that everything on your list has to be done by you. That's another thing that can cause frustration. It can cause overwhelm, right? You thinking that you got to do everything, right? If you got a list of 20 things and you're like, man, we already said 1, 2, 3 many. So you see 20, you know, it make you not even want to begin, which is a lot of what realtors are experiencing. They don't even want to start, because as you go through this whole process and they see themselves being the only one doing it, you know, that ain't what they signed up for. So leverage, you got to be thinking of how can you leverage, you know, automation or systems. How can you leverage people to do things for you, right? Things aren't as expensive as we think they are to get stuff done, right? I remember, you know, I'll use a couple of examples. I use leverage in many instances. You know, we're currently in the process of transitioning all of our books into QuickBooks, right? And you know, I started, you know, to go to input this stuff myself, but we were talking about like a year. Well, at the time it was like 8 months of data that needed to be inputted, and I was gonna try to do it. And man, I think I got past a half of a month, and I was like, no, I gotta figure out another way. And you know, I hadn't quite figured out what the solution was or the answer was, but you know, I had a result of I got to get this stuff transferred into QuickBooks. You know, I kind of went through my list of things that I could do, and one of the things that ended up being on that list was, you know, I could outsource it. Okay, well, who can I outsource it to? Obviously, I don't want to be spending a whole bunch of money doing this stuff. But I was able to go to the platform Fiverr, find me a bookkeeper, a virtual bookkeeper. And not only did they input the transactions, they reconciled the file. And it took them about 2 weeks to get all 9 months of this stuff in there. And I promise you, at the pace that I was going, it probably would have took me about 6 months. And look at all the time that I gained by leveraging something else, by just being more creative in my thinking, looking for alternative options. Another example is that I wanted to start embedding captions in some of the videos that I use for social media. Well, there's plenty of options that you can do that. You know, one of them, you can just go straight through YouTube and type in your captions and try to figure out, you know, where they line up as it relates to timing. But again, that takes a whole lot of time. Trust me. Even to the point, you know, I have a social media person and I was trying to convince them to do the stuff for me, and and they wouldn't do it. But guess what? Found a company. They do the captions for you, man. Very affordable. I think I spent like $5-6 and I can get, man, a 5-minute video with some captions in it. I can just upload to my social media. It takes them about 3 hours to do it. When it probably took me, well, it probably take them less than that. But, you know, they'll say, well, you know, they'll typically get it back to me in about 3 hours. That's 3 hours that I just saved where I can go do something else. So leverage, what you want to do is you want to identify what are those things that's on the list. As they're prioritized, obviously you want to work with the stuff at the top and work your way down, because the stuff at the top gives you the greater position to make more headway in where you're going. But then you can also look for those areas where you can bring other people in, bring other systems in that can leverage, and that stuff get accomplished as well, right? So now, the one thing that I didn't say when we originally set our result, and I did it on purpose, remember I talked about it last week, is that I didn't set a timeline, right? I didn't say, hey, we want to do $3.5 million worth of production in 6 months. Or we want to do a $3.5 million production in 12 months. I didn't say any of that, right? And why? If you revert back to what we talked about last week, is because it takes however long it takes. If this is the result that you want, then you go after it and you do it until you get it done. So it may take 90 days. It may take 6 months. It may take 12 months. It may take 2 years. Who cares? But what you want to do is you probably want to assess it every 90 days. So you set the result, right? And then you say, all right, this is the result. This is the purpose. This is my plan. It's prioritized. I've identified some areas that I can leverage. All right, let's get started. And I'm going to go all in after going after achieving this goal. I'm going to go all in for the next 90 days. And then when 90 days get here, I'm going to see where we are. Did I get it done? How far did I get? So that's where tracking, measuring got to come to play. You gotta have something in place. If your goal is to do $3.5 million worth of production, well, after 90 days, you need to be in a position where you can see, well, how much production have you done? Or how much production is in your pipeline, is in place to where at some point in the future it's going to be closing and you'll be able to count it. Like, you got to have some kind of mechanisms in place to where you can do that, right? So again, the duration, that final part of your plan is there for you to determine how often are you going to look back and measure and assess the progress that you've made, not determine if you've passed or failed after going after what you were trying to achieve. Because you go after it until you get it done. In 90 days, if you look up and you're not on a pace that you want to be on, then what do you got to do? You just make adjustments, right? You make adjustments, look at your massive action plan list, maybe add some stuff, maybe take some stuff away, maybe move some stuff down from a priority standpoint. Maybe there was some stuff that wasn't as impactful as you thought it was going to be, and it needs to be lower down the list. Maybe there's some other areas that took too much time and you need to add more leverage in a particular area. Or maybe you did leverage the area and realized it was better. It was one of those areas that, it is something that you need to be facilitating to get more impact out of it. It could be a host of things and adjustments that you need to make. But the reality is you keep going after it until you get it done. Because at this point, at this stage where we are right now, at this conversation that we're having right now, you have everything that you need to get whatever you want done. You have everything that you need. You're crystal clear about it. You know why you want it. You have your to-dos. You have this system of thinking in place, right? So now it's just a matter of executing it, being consistent and being patient with the process, and ultimately getting stuff done. This is how you become a realtor. This is how you become a person that gets stuff done. There's not enough people in our society that truly get stuff done. There's a lot of talkers, right? There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. There's a lot of surface areas, the perception. There's not a lot of people out here that's really getting stuff done. Now you have what you need to be that kind of person. And again, through our coaching, that's what we help our agents to be on a consistent basis. All right. So that's that for that part of it, right? Where we are now in the looking at our iceberg, we've kind of went through all areas. We're still underwater, right? But next week we're going to be talking about this one, because this is the area that everybody sees. That's that consistency or lack of consistency. Some of us call it discipline. Some of us call it, just, again, being consistent. Well, we're going to talk about that, because that's what that is what the clients see, and that is what the customer sees and the colleagues see. That's what you see. The ebb and flow, the ups and downs, right? Because your bills are consistent, right? And, I labeled it, many of you all are probably not aware, but there's this real thing called a cash gap. And that the anxiety that comes with a cash gap ain't nothing to be, it's nothing to enjoy. So consistency is your friend. Consistency is something that it'll become so mentally and emotional refreshing when you get to the point to where you have a consistent, sustainable business. Trust me in saying that. So we're going to talk about that next week. All right, I'm about to wrap things up. So if you guys have any comments or if y'all have any questions that y'all want to throw at me before I shut it down, let me know. The chat's open, or you can unmute yourself. With that, as we begin to shut things down for this session, I know we had some hangups, man, some glitches. I don't know what was going on with Easy Talks and recording. Wouldn't let me record, kept kicking me off. It was crazy, but guess what? We powered through. Some great content too. All right, so our agents, they get an hour of seed credit when they take advantage of our Create Your New Lives. As long as they follow the steps on this slide here, they'll get that hour. Again, if you're not a Brooks & Davis agent and you need somebody to walk with you through this planning process, through putting yourself in a position of where you execute on whatever it is that you want to achieve, period, no matter what it is, then click on this link. Let's talk about it. Let me show you some more about what it is that we offer as a brokerage firm that helps get our agents to the next level, right? This is the kind of development that we provide at Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm. So it can either be online or in person where we go through it. And we have our social media platforms, right? Where we go on social media. Best way to engage. We talked about our YouTube channel. That's the best way to see the videos, see the content, see the broadcast, just see who we are as a company. If you subscribe to it, you'll be notified when we drop new stuff. And the same thing with our Facebook page. That's where we go. That's kind of like our board for upcoming stuff, upcoming events. You like the page, then you're going to be notified on all the stuff that we have upcoming. So highly encourage you to do that. And then I'm on all the other social media platforms. All right. So with that being said, that's all I have for today. Let me cue my music up. Appreciate you all coming in and sharing with me. Hopefully it was some great content. Y'all let me know if it was good or not. There's some areas that I need to go into further detail with you so you can begin to truly execute on this stuff and have the kind of understanding that I know is going to change your life because it changed mine. Let me know. Let's get it done. All right. With that being said, no, we are done for today. We powered through. We got it done. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. I am your host, Michael G. Davis, broker, CEO, Brooks & Davis Real Estate Firm. Glad to be here on another Tuesday. Today we talked about a result-oriented, purpose-driven, massive action plan. Yes, we did. And we talked about exceeding expectations. One of our 5 core values, expectations of customers, clients, and colleagues. We got a great event coming up where if you want to get your concealed handgun license, you'll be able to do that this weekend. And we took a look at a home in Cypress, Canyon Lakes, very sought after subdivision, $225,000. I know you got some people that's in that price point. So let's work together. Let's get it done. Got another one in the books for today. As always, looking forward to coach you into the cosmos. It's time to take off. Y'all have a great one. Peace.